Hello again. Today I'd like to talk to you about a gentleman called Shawn Obasi who bills himself as the armor bearer for Wing Chun. Wing Chun, if you don't know, is a form of Kung Fu martial art that I've trained for 12 years. I've been a teacher for about 7, and I still teach twice a week every single week. So I'm coming from that kind of background. My lineage is Ip Chun, Colin Ward, Mai Sifu, and then me. Okay, that means anything to you. Um, Shawn Obasi is a Wing Chun practitioner whose aim is to make it in the world of MMA or cage fighting. Okay, and he wants to be the armor bearer of Wing Chun in that kind of an arena. And there's 2 reasons why this isn't going to work. Okay, I'm going to explain a little bit about my feelings why these are the case. The first reason it won't work is because Wing Chun is not suited to mixed martial art competition. Okay. The second reason is Shawn Obasi, although he's much respect to him for what he's trying to do, he is simply not good enough at Wing Chun to showcase it. And I'm going to come out and say that right now. As I say, I mean no disrespect, and I have nothing but respect for anybody who gets into a cage with another guy and fights. Okay, I'm not taking a single thing. I personally, it's not something that I would do. It's not something I'm interested in doing. It's not why I started studying martial arts in the first place. But people who do, just unending props to you basically, because I think it takes such a vast amount of heart and a vast amount of balls to actually get that cage door locked behind you. And that I extend that to Shawn Obasi as well. The fact that he can get into a cage means that he's a braver man than I. But I'm not talking about how brave we are. I'm talking about claims and intentions with regards to Wing Chun, which is an art that I love with all my heart, and I will train until I die. And I think that what Shawn's doing is quite damaging to Wing Chun. He recently had a tryout for M1, which is a fighting company who put events all over the world. And this tryout was videotaped and put on YouTube, and it was shown to the world. And basically, Shawn had a tantrum because he was told he wasn't good enough to be in the organisation. To give him credit, it's because they had him in a cage and trying to get him to do Muay Thai kicks and all this sort of thing, which of course he couldn't do because he's not a Muay Thai kicker, which would obviously piss you off a bit. But at the end of the day, if you're going into a mixed martial art competition, they're going to expect certain things out of you because they're coming from their perspective and not yours. Okay. So my first point, Wing Chun does not work in MMA. It will never work in MMA. I remember, I think UFC 3 or 2 or something, there was actually a Wing Chun guy came in, this sort of fat guy in black gi, and he got his ass handed to him by a sumo wrestler or something equally stupid and bizarre. But Wing Chun doesn't work in MMA. Why doesn't it work in MMA? Because it's not a sport. It's not a sport like judo, wrestling, kickboxing, Muay Thai, whatever. That's why you don't have Wing Chun tournaments. Okay, you might have Chi Sao tournaments, but that's a stupid idea as well. I'll get to that maybe another time. But the fact that Chi Sao is a game to help you train, it's not. It's like a boxer going into a skipping competition and then winning a skipping competition and claiming he's the world's best boxer. Chi Sao competitions are nonsense for the same reason. Anyway, get off the point. Wing Chun doesn't work in the cage because it's not a sport. Okay, it doesn't have boundaries. Okay, the first thing you're going to do with a Wing Chun response to an attack is get in contact and then strike as hard as you possibly can to the weakest and most vital areas, usually the eyes, the windpipe, the nose, a knockout. But there's also kicking through joints, there's breaking limbs, and this is all stuff you should be able to do instinctively if you're using your Wing Chun in a real situation. Okay. If you're in a cage, there's a lot of things you can't do. There's a lot of illegal strikes which you simply can't do. Wing Chun doesn't have a ground game. The thinking being that it doesn't need it because you keep your opponent at a distance you want to keep him at with your stopping kicks or your contacts or your laps or whatever you need. We don't have a ground game as soon as it goes to the ground, although I have seen people using sort of BUG from the ground, and it looked quite effective to be honest with you, but there's no locks, there's no submissions, there's none of that sort of thing. It's brutal. It's 1, 2, bang. Job's done. If your opponent falls on the ground, you wait for him to get up. If he gets up again, if he does, you repeat the process. There are no parallels between the way Wing Chun is supposed to work, which is a 1, 2, 3 brutal strike, it's all over, and trading jabs with a boxer or getting into wrestling range with somebody. it will not work. By the time you take out everything out of Wing Chun that's illegal in MMA, there's nothing of Wing Chun left over. Okay, so then you've got to supplement it with, you think we need some BJJ for your ground stuff, you need some decent kicking and punching, you need some wrestling to come up against wrestlers and stuff like that, keep yourself on your feet, keep yourself on your base. Which, there's a clue in the title of mixed martial arts, okay, is now a discipline all of its own, mixed martial arts. You go to a mixed martial arts academy, there are many, many thousands of them all over the world, and they will teach you how to punch and kick, they will teach you how to take people down to the ground. When you're there, they'll teach you how to submit them, okay? You mix the martial arts up to get this. It's what Bruce Lee was talking about way back in the day, but nonetheless. So there we go. My opinion is Wing Chun will never work in a sport, regulated, rule-based environment. Not least because the way I've been taught it, might be different to you, the way I've been taught it, it's a reactive martial art. You react to an incoming strike, so you can never actually physically attack somebody with Wing Chun. You can counter-strike, you can counter-attack in a very final and brutal way, but you can't walk up to somebody and punch them in the face with your Wing Chun, because it's not the way I've been trained, to be quite honest with you. It's a street defence discipline. It's traditional. It's a martial art. There are many thousands of ways or reasons why you would train a martial art, but I think to become a mixed martial art fighter is going to be the last one, surely. If you want to train Wing Chun, you'll train Wing Chun because the concepts and the theories behind it interest you and you get something out of it. It's not because you think this is the stepping stone to get myself into a cage and fight somebody else. It just seems a bit bizarre. If you want to fight MMA, train MMA. If you want to learn Wing Chun, go and learn Wing Chun. Simple as that. Now, a second point, which is maybe slightly more controversial, but I feel like I'm coming from a position of some experience, is that Shawn Obasi, from everything I've seen on YouTube, simply isn't a good enough Wing Chun fighter to be an armour bearer or a standard bearer for it. If you watch him rolling, he's got no root whatsoever, no base. His hips aren't connected to his elbows in any way that I can determine. His positions are terrible. His energy is way off. And there are many people out there who are extremely, extremely good. And I'm not going to name names because they may have done name will get upset. But if you look at YouTube, and there are some really crap people doing what they call Wing Chun out there, but there are some really, really good people using Wing Chun in quite hard martial ways as well. So it's not just a case of it can either be one way or the other. I mean, there are people out there who are using it with sort of full force and padded up and things like that, and it does work when it's done properly. And the more you compromise from it, the less you get out of it. So I think Shawn, I understand what he's trying to do, but I think that he's not helping the cause of Wing Chun by simply walking into a cage with your hands like this. Does not make you a Wing Chun fighter, okay? If the first thing you're going to do is pull them to the ground and then ground and pound them, wins you the fight, but nothing to do with Wing Chun. Sorry, chum. So best of luck to him, I say. I hope he improves, but I just hope that he understands that if he's going to call himself an armour bearer for Wing Chun, that has to include the attitude and the respect that a Wing Chun person should really have. You get trained discipline. And shouting and screaming and having a tantrum on camera, it does nothing but set us back, to be honest with you, as a Wing Chun family. I think it's really important that Shawn takes a step back and has a look at that, and hopefully that'll help him to improve in that regard. So that's all I've got to say about that. As I say, please comment if you disagree, or if you do agree. I'd love to have a conversation with any of you about it. And as I say, no disrespect to you, Shawn, just my opinion on the matter. Somebody coming from that who seems to think he knows what he's talking about. This is the internet. That's it for today. Goodbye.